Everyone. Thank you all for joining in today. My name is Govind, Chief Strategy Officer of Kuberan's House. I welcome you all today. We have a great session today coming up. We are in session 5 of the webinar series. This will be the kind of session flow that we are looking at for today's topic, which is about valuation of your startups, pre and post money, and what are the different discussions that we'll be doing through our keynote speakers and speakers today. So this is the session flow. We will first begin with the keynote speakers talking about today's topic relevant to the current startup industry and ecosystem. And then we will go on to the introduction of Kuberan's House and Kuberan's House initiative of this webinar and what is Kuberan's House all about and the ecosystem doing for contributing to the overall startup ecosystem. And then we will have the Q&A sessions at the final, which could be definitely conversational. So we will take 20 minutes for the keynote speakers, 10 minutes each, Mr. Arijit and Mr. Ratnakar. I'll introduce you in a while. And we will have the speakers, Mr. Sanjeev, who's the CEO of Kuberan's House and the co-founder, and the co-founder of Ranjit, who's the co-founder of Kuberan's House. And then we will take the final Q&A sessions. All right. With that, I would welcome you all again on a Saturday afternoon and hope you all had a great start to the weekend. And I would start introducing Mr. Arijit. Mr. Arijit has been
I think you're muted, Govind. No one can hear you.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Yes. So I would start introducing Mr. Arijit. Hi, Mr. Arijit. So Mr. Arijit has been a serial entrepreneur himself, and he's been a various startup investor. And then he started his stint as an entrepreneurship set of areas that he has built in. So he has been a mentor at Founder Institute, co-founder of Glam World Face, which is into the fashion segment. He's also been the co-founder and CEO of Session-5, which is into game design, VR development, mobile application development, and so on. And he's also been the founder of the World Leaders Summit in the recent days to bring in many ecosystems under one umbrella. Thank you for joining in today, Mr. Arijit.
Thank you so much.
And next, I would like to introduce Ratnakar on the other side. He's been the investment director at Hyderabad Angels Network, and he's also the venture partner of Three Lines Venture Capital. And he's also been a key mentor at T-Hub, which is also our association today. We are doing this in association with T-Hub as the accelerator partner and also with WOW as an alumni network partner. I welcome you, Mr. Ratnakar, today.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody and Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I would start this discussion with Mr. Arijit. Mr. Arijit, I would like to have this discussion starting from your side as to today's relevant topic being on the valuation of startups and how you would want to have startups being validated pre-money and post-money. Over to you, Mr. Arijit.
Thank you so much. So it's been a pleasure, and I'm in touch with Ranjit for quite a long time. Looks like they have a lot of energy. Happy to be here, guys. Do you want me to turn on my video?
Sure.
Okay, I think I'm visible to all of you. It's weekend, so I'm in my old house, which is there. In any way, so if you talk about valuations, if you talk about startups and pre-money and post-money, I'll give you a small introduction how I'm actually coming and from which background. As you know, I'm founder of Virtual Infocom. India is one of the oldest game development and VR application development company. We simulate real actor and actress into 3D game, got approximate 25 million user base across the world. For the last 23 plus years of experience running multiple companies, around 21 in my life, invested into around 17 different organizations, took exit from 4 as of now, what I have seen globally so far. So I run one investment banking company called Entrepreneur Phase here in India. We have another fund which is based out of Sydney, Australia, called W Global Investments. I run another fund called MaxCap based out of China. Been into this ecosystem for quite a long time, but whenever I look at the world and try to understand where there is a gap with startups and investors, well, valuation is basically a very different kind of art and science mixed together. But if I try to make it very simple for you guys, when you try to raise any capital, the very structure of valuation goes into one single line. If you have a product or a service, are you trying to get at least 10% of the market or not? If you're trying to do that, I think you are in the right track. Forget about all the calculations that CA will do for you. If you have that kind of hardcore desire, I think that's one of the best way that you can do. And of course, what is your strategy to convince your potential customer? And will your venture earn a little bit of profit, or is it something else? When exactly you feel and you can see you can break even? Now, it might happen that without investment, without any external investment, you can run your show, you can run your business, you can probably continue a journey, and you can see that you can probably achieve your goal in next 7 to 8 years. But if your condition is that you can streamline this process of 7 to 8 years, and if you get a funding during this time, your time stretchability becomes really synchronized. Like, if you feel within 8 years you can do it, if you get the funding, you can actually do it within maybe next 2 to 3 years. That's the right time for you to raise some capital. Am I audible, guys? I don't know. There's a voice disturbance happening. Is it from my end?
I think it's clear from our side.
Okay, fine. And
Harshal, I would request you to mute. Yeah, thank you.
And then when you have a prototype, actually that attracts a lot of investors. If you are in idea stage, with due respect to all the ideas are really, really great, but it doesn't have any kind of meaning unless you are executing it. So you must have some amount of expertise on creating team, at least have a prototype that really attracts investors. There is a lot of data, but I think I'll stick to very basics. Now, if you want to talk about valuation, there is a very simple calculation that you can do. What is your pre-money valuation? And if you add that with your investment amount, what will be your post-money valuation? So both the things are different. And sometimes when you look for money, when you look for funding, people don't really care about where they are going for. So there are various different kind of investors. If you're talking about seed level investors, they are different. If you're talking about growth level investors, they are different. The appetites are different. Their way of looking at your business is different, always. When you look for any kind of VC fund, your funding methodologies are different. VC fund has to run on a profit basis. A VC cannot actually run without any kind of profit earning ratio. So for them, it depends in which stage they are coming. VC can come into seed level. Some people say that VC cannot come in a seed level. It's completely wrong. VC can come in a seed level. It depends on your product. It depends on your business and your business cycle, and your probably, if you have something which is patentable, probably you have invented something which is really great, which is not there in the world, and you are clueless how to do things. Maybe that's one of the best way that you can maybe approach with a basic protection. You can approach a VC and you can probably get things done. That's one of the best way. Now, talking about how will you calculate the valuation, there are various methods. I'm trying to make it very simple for you guys. So for all the entrepreneurs, with due respect, if you don't understand numbers, it will be a very difficult ball game. But yes, Usually profitable companies with a steady growth, it's a P multiple. That's one of the way that you can do. Loss-making companies can have a fluctuating profit. It can be PS multiple. There are other methods, number of users you have, number of subscribers you have a discounted cash flow or not. You have, maybe you want to do some kind of backward method. Now, all these things, if you feel really, really complicated, to be very honest, my suggestion to you is get someone on board who can understand these kind of methodologies. For any startup, it's really hard and impossible to understand everything that's happening in probably in the finance world. It doesn't mean that you can't start your venture. You can always start your venture. You can always make things big. The only key thing that I usually recommend people, get a great team together. Kindly don't mix your team with your employees. Employees are different. Employees are taking money, they are working for you. But team is some group of people who have the similar kind of passion and vision. They are not at all working for money. They are actually working for the same vision. And try to get people who are from various backgrounds. For an example, my background is technology. So I learned finance in a very hard way. Market taught me how to do also those such kind of things. Market taught me how to do legal activities, but that comes with the experience. But if you are a startup, get someone at least on board who is a lawyer, maybe from the legal background. It can be a fresher, doesn't matter. Maybe someone who is really experienced on finance, who can talk about the numbers, who can give you the numbers. Just a small request. It's because of my headphone. If you turn on your mic, it will be very difficult for me to speak. So I'll request all the attendees, could you please turn off your microphone, and only the moderator and me can actually turn it on. It will be really great for me to speak. Thank you so much. Okay, so when you look at, yes, please, Piyush. You want to ask any question, Piyush?
Yes, sir. We'll take the Q&As later.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that later on. Let me finish, please. Yeah. So when you look at the global perspective, there are options, there are opportunities, there are funds, there are accelerators who are actually trying to give a lot to the community. To be very, very specific, if you look at European market, I work with Europe, Australia, US market, and we entered Africa very recently, around 2 years back. So I can see the kind of vibration that's happening globally. People are there, communities are there to give help and support, and because entrepreneurship is the only way which can nurture and cater a nation. And mark my words, guys, this is the only way to enhance any nation's nation building, right? So when you become an entrepreneur, when you have started your journey, that's one of the best way you can build at least one single nation. When you start doing that, there will be a lot of opportunities which is going to give you a groundbreaking, shivering thing, so that you can probably grow in your life. Okay, coming back to the point. People usually ask me, when shall we go for funding? When shall we probably raise our first round? What is the best timing? So there is no such best timing for you guys. It depends on your way of running your venture. But sometimes, one-liner answer, try to raise money when you don't need it. You heard me right. When you don't need money, try to raise it at that time. Number one, your dilution of percentage of your equity will be less. Number two, you will not have a lot of headaches. Number three, the most important point, investors will actually feel comfortable because you are running fine and you need the money for your probably scaling up your venture, maybe take some more people in team. That's one of the best way. Maybe when you look for money, take 6 to 9 months time. That's additional time. Okay. Talking to investors, getting a deal done, all the legal compliances done. If it is inside India or maybe outside India, usually takes 6 to 9 months. If it is outside India, usually 9 months. Usually, I'm not saying that that's a very fixed and freeze timing, but with all the legalities, if you really feel that it can be done within a month, I think that's too fast. Until unless you know that person personally. It usually takes that much amount of time. That's a suggestion. The great idea is to get multiple small finance in the company. Say for an example, if you're looking for a $1 million and you're asking me, sir, would you please invest $1 million? I'll say yes, but I'll probably do it in stages, maybe stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. So that's one of the best way, probably for your company as well, to maybe go for a growth. That's one of the best way where your calculation can not be wrong when you take multiple rounds. That's one of the best way to match things and take things forward. And when you seek for funding, when you look for finance, the quality and connection of the management team is really important. So if you're a fresher, again, I'll ask you to get someone who is maybe experienced enough in the same industry, get someone on board, maybe on an honorary position, maybe on a equity position, whatever. I mean, depends on you and the kind of size of the business opportunity you need, the scope of building a sustainable competitive advantage. That's one of the key area you can look. And yes, the most important vital part, an angel investor always takes the risk initially. So remember, you need to have a risk optimization technique into your company. I've seen so many investors, investment has been probably drained into the market, but somehow they couldn't get the return because sometimes we don't give a proper marriage proposal. Sometimes divorce happens. So for me, the company is a beautiful daughter. She's a princess, and the founders are actually looking for the best man in the world to probably handshake with his daughter. So that's one of the best way. So when you get some investor on board, another tips for you, get someone on board who is probably from the relevant and related industry. That's one of the best way. You both of you can have equal kind of mindset. You both can understand each other. For an example, if you are taking, say for an example, I invested in a company based out of Thailand, which is mainly into yoga and nutrition. So why I did that? I have a inclinedness to understand that. I have an inclinedness of probably understanding that kind of market, as well as I used to be an MMA player. So when you have that on board, I'm working with them for last 7 years, got my returns back. Again, I reinvested. Again, I brought in more investors on board. This cycle happens when you have a win-win situation. I think I'm done with the timing. It's time.
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for your insights, Mr. Ajit. You covered a lot of aspects and given us great insights. Over to Mr. Ratnakar, on your thoughts on, let's probably take some use cases in specific industries when it comes to valuation. And so, Mr. Ratnakar, over to you. Mr. Ajit, I would request you to mute.
Thank you. Thank you all, and good afternoon to everybody. Very good to know a few things from startup investment. Guys, as Arjit has informed, valuation is an art, it is not a science. There is no right way or a wrong way to value a company. Now the question will come. I think if some of them can keep it on mute, it will be good here. A lot of noise is coming on the background. Thank you all. So as I said, valuation is an art. It is not a science. There is no right valuation or no wrong valuation per se. So startups are coming at various levels of investments. As you all know, we call it as a early stage company, seed company, growth company, and matured company. In early stage, when startup has just started its journey and they are looking for funding from friends and family or other thing, even a third party, what are the key factors that play an important role for the valuation of the company? One of the key factors for that just started company with some product idea, the concept has been taken place and people would like to invest. If the founders has great experience and reputation, the valuation is seen differently. And somebody who is college come out and is starting a new venture, the valuation is seen different. what is the general benchmark rule most of the startups are getting followed? Is if somebody is out of college or somebody who has 3-4 years of experience and they're coming out and starting a startup, the valuation for them can be seen anywhere from 20 to 50 lakhs. The valuation of the company. So it all depends. Somebody is willing to invest 25 lakhs or 30 lakhs. For example, your company has been valued $500,000. We consider pre-money valuation sometimes is $500,000, or sometimes inclusive of 25 lakhs, it becomes a post-money valuation. But if you giving you an example like Cred has been started by a successful entrepreneur who has been part of a successful unicorn company. When they started, the value of the company has been taken at 100 crores with no data. It's only the belief they will deliver well, and they were able to raise a $10 million fund. So this is how people perceived the valuation. And post which, if you have customer traction and you have a decent revenue, here this is all revenue multiples. Please understand, this is all revenue multiples from here. Till you achieve a bare minimum value, bare minimum top line of, depending upon industry to industry. For an enterprise SaaS company, a 100K USD to a million USD is what they look at revenue multiples. For a consumer company, they look at GMV. The GMV can be 100 crores, 150 crores. Till the time the valuation will keep continue on the revenue multiples. This is how people will see, they put the revenue multiples there. And after that, when a company is getting into growth phase, people look at your gross margins. It is not net margin, it is gross margin at product level or a service level. Some people at product level, they make 40%. Some people at product level, they make 90%. On services, people will make 70%. Here, the valuation is based on the gross margin percentage and how much. For example, somebody is doing 100 crores revenue and they have a gross margin of 70%. So they have 70 crores as a gross margin percentage, and on that they will calculate a multiple on that. That's where the multiple changes when people are going from C to early to growth. And when people are going from growth to matured, for example, today Ola, Uber, Baiju, Paytm, all these guys have become a $1 billion companies, 10 million, 5 million, 8 million. They are getting matured in the market. And one of the key thing VCs are putting, because they need to get invested, they look for an IPO market, it is the EBITDA. They need to make a positive EBITDA, and the EBITDA multiples will play a bigger role there. This is how the market is seen in terms of valuation at various stages. I hope you all guys are clear how the valuation works. It depends upon the sector you are, or the sector you are. For example, today, e-commerce company may not be a hot sector. They may get lower valuation, but today agri-tech, space tech, and other sectors are becoming hot. They get more valued. Govinda. So that's where the valuation will change depending on what are the sectors which are very hot and which are getting faded. So you should understand, when some of the members are getting for a valuation discussion, you need to understand which sector you are and what kind of services you're giving and where do you stand. It all depends again on this particular aspect. This is at a macro view. And one of the questions Govind has asked us to address is pre-money valuation and post-money valuation. What is pre-money and post-money? For example, you guys have done your maths, and for next 18 months, one of the key things many startups miss out is what is the inflection point at which an angel investor will come? What is the inflection point at which pre-money value, pre-series investment will come? What is the inflection point for which a series A will come? What is the inflection point at which series B will come? I'll just give you an example. Somebody who has done a 3 to 4 lakhs of revenue, angel investors are willing to take a bet. If your business model is good, you have product differentiation, you have good go-to-market strategy, and founders have decent track record. These are the 3-4 things which are very important. And at this stage, you feel, sir, if I need to raise a pre-series A, the minimum revenue requirement for most of the the next level investor sees a revenue run rate of 3 lakhs to 50 lakhs, 50 lakhs revenue you need to reach. Then the guys will say that, sir, I need funds to reach 50 lakhs, an amount of $500,000. That's how the people will come to me. They want to raise a 3.5 crores. They invest in technology, they invest in marketing, they invest in building the team. And they should reach that 50 lakhs revenue. So you should look at your maths. If you say $5 million, $500,000 you wanted to raise, then the question will come, how much dilution you guys are going to do. Keep this in mind. When you are raising a Series B, the founders of the company should hold a bare minimum of 51% in the company. That's where the dilution will start coming in play. So it depends upon sector to sector how things are going about. For example, you say, okay, I wanted to dilute 15%, $500,000 on 15%. You know your valuation today. That comes to around 20 crores post money. Pre-money is around 16.5 crores. I'm just giving you a ballpark numbers. You can do your calculation. Once you reach the run, you're going to 50 lakhs revenue. Now you touched and you wanted to raise a pre-series A revenue of $1 million. That 50 lakhs revenue should move to 1 to 1.5 crore or sometimes 2 crores. This is, I'm more speaking on consumer side here. Don't look at other segments. Segment to segment, you guys need to know the inflection point. If somebody need to reach 2 crores, they need to raise $1 million. Since this already guy has diluted 15%, and at angel level, most of them will insist to give ESOP allocation of 10%. The founders have diluted 25% in the company. Please understand. Now we wanted to do 15 to 20% dilution at this level. What really happens is your $1 million, you need to reduce it. You see your valuation. 20% on $1 million is $5 million post money, $4 million pre money. So from $2 million, you went to $4 million in terms of valuation. And from there, 2 crores to you reach 5 crores of revenue, you are raising a Series A of $5 million. Again, people will look anywhere between 10 to 20% dilution. So everyone, an angel investor who has invested 15%, they get diluted by 3% if they raised 20%. Another 20% reduction is another 2.4 will get reduced for them. So by the time at Series A, an angel investor is holding 15%, his stake at Series A will become 10% because of the dilutions happening at various stages. There, if you are raising a $5 million, assuming you are diluting 20%, I'm just giving you the ballpark number, that comes to $25 million valuation. So pre-money is 20, post-money is $25 million. You got it? And
Yes.
these 5 million, how do you arrive? Is you need to look at Series B inflection point. At Series B, you need to achieve 20 crores of top line. And this is where you need 5 million to reach that number. This can be annual recurring revenue, this can be monthly recurring revenue. It depends upon sector to sector. And if you reach 20 crores in revenue, now you need to raise Series C and 100 crores revenue you need to reach. You need $20 million in cash, and you need to give an exit to your angel investors at early stage. It can happen. All put together, you need 20. Now, again, you will dilute another 20-25%. At that level, people look at 20 to 25% dilution. Assume we are diluting 25% at $20 million. The company post-money valuation is $80 million. Pre-money valuation is $60 million. This is how the valuation games comes in play. I hope I have cleared how the valuation goes between pre-money and post-money.
Yes, sir. I think this is a very insightful and knowledge session from both Ratnakar sir and Arijit. Ratnakar sir, thank you so much for the information that you took through sectors, which is really important, where sectors actually really matter and the category of sectors also matter when there's a valuation put up. And that also reflects with the market trend, like clearly demarcated and defined. So it could be sectors that is actually moving and upscale, like edtech and other spaces, which is getting more traction. You can put a larger valuation to it. That understanding is great, and it was very insightful. So I think this is great from both.
One last comment, Govind. Arjit,
Yes,
I think you have given a very good insights. I hope people would have consider these points. Please do consider. He has put a lot of relevance and experience of various countries. And
Yes,
I have
yes.
given you the ground reality, how things are going about. I think we both
Yes.
have given hand
Yes,
in
yes.
hand reference to
It was
each
a
other.
holistic.
Thank you.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir. This was holistic. Mr. Arjit, brought in the international concurrence, and you brought in the nitty gritties of sectors. I think this is a good combination of both the knowledge sessions that happened. I think I'll move on to the other next part of the session, Mr. Ratnakar and Mr. Arjit. So I would like to introduce, guys, Mr. Sanjeev K. Kumar, CEO and co-founder of Kuberan's House. Mr. Sanjeev has close to around 3 decades of experience in the media, entertainment, and TV industry. He's done various diversities from various backgrounds and sectors. He's been a very avid learner and a know-how, wants to bring in more of the budding entrepreneurship. So he believes anyone can become an entrepreneur from any place and anywhere. And he's been a great visionary, putting the forefront of the Make in India initiative alongside. And then also with Mr. Sanjeev, I also have the co-founder Ranjit Royal, who's the co-founder of Kuberan's House again. Ranjit has been in the corporate sector and the industry over the past decade or so. He did his master's from the University of Leicester, and then he's been also the industrial expert in various sectors in uh, having said, more topic session to introduce Kuberan's House and why is Kuberan's House important to the startup? Over to you, Sanjay, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing? Wish you all a very, very happy new year. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes,
Am I
yes.
audible, Govind?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir, you're audible.
Yeah, welcome on board, Mr. Arijit and also Mr. Ratnakar. Yeah. Please go ahead, Ranjit. Ranjit, you want to go in?
We can talk about the Kuberan's
Hello?
house. So I'll talk about the process.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, I mean, I was just wanting to find out with Govind if
Yes,
I
sir.
can, give away my 15 minutes or, whatever time I have to Mr. Arijit and Mr. Ratnakar, because it was very insightful. And, the whole idea about Kuberan's house is all about this knowledge share. And I think, the way Mr. Arijit and Mr. Ratnakar put it in terms of that, that every entrepreneur needs to understand numbers. That is a very important point. The knowledge share of every entrepreneur and the way he goes about taking his valuation to the levels that that can be invested is a very, very key point of the Kuberan's house philosophy. And we come from the point that there is going to be great knowledge share going to happen across it. And I think we're constantly learning, and we would want to pass on this knowledge share to the entire startup community. Having said that, rightly put, I think Mr. Arijit said, the startup is usually, like a princess, and the founders are constantly looking for investors. We would taking it further. We would want to call ourselves pujaris, basically, because we would be enhancing the process of this entire process, where great startup ideas get investment and get funded. But it is very important to understand how valuation happens before the investment and after the investment. I think that's where Kuberan House stands, because we are going to be a bridge between how an idea can get funded. So that is a very, very integral part of the thing. And we didn't, I mean, as I keep saying it every time, we didn't want to be just a reality show about startups. We wanted to be a great knowledge house, a great platform where great ideas come in, and there is great sharing of ideas and thoughts and their numbers, basically. But it's very, very important. I think I said it perfectly, that every entrepreneur, every idea should know their numbers perfectly. And that it is purely that. I mean, that is a very, very integral part of it as to how you project your startup into the valuation market and finally get funding. So I think, that's some great share. And I would want to, Arijit, to, take it take a little bit more time. I mean, Mr. Ratnakar also, to probably we could extend this by another 10-15 minute session, because I think there is a lot of thoughts exchange on this. Please go ahead, Govind.
Mr. Arijit, I think you can take one of your use cases or any investments that you have had in your experience, any startup that you funded, pre and post. If you could help us lead through an example, it will be great.
Govind, you're
Okay,
not
yeah, okay. So thank you so much for the opportunity. And Sanjeev and Ranjit and Govind, you guys are doing fabulous work. Creating an ecosystem is not easy. It's
Sanjeev
not
sir,
at all
please
easy.
keep it on mute, sir. Mr. Sanjeev sir, please keep it on mute.
Yeah, so it's not easy to create an ecosystem, and I can tell this from my past experience creating multiple different chambers and creating ecosystems. And of course, yeah, I mean, being a pujari is not at all an easy job. Finding right kind of bride and groom, and they can maybe continue their journey. Well, if you ask about if you ask about my past experience, why I invested in one startup or probably what they're doing, I'll give you three different live cases. I think that will be easier for all of us to understand how things happen. So I'll take one of the example from India. I'll take some example where probably I didn't invested money, but I invested time, and then eventually I invested money. So my first example would be a company based out of northeast part of India. They are actually into tea manufacturing, completely different than my market. I'm completely from technology background and media background, entertainment things, and so on and so forth. But when they approached me that they are making different flavored teas and their packaging was really, really interesting, then they say that, sir, honestly speaking, we don't know how to calculate our valuation. We really don't know how to understand whether we are fundable or not. We really don't know how to probably increase our market size, but we have a hardcore passion. We invested maximum of our money into buying or rather leasing a property and then creating all these great teas. We are into it. Our background is such that we are coming down from that background. Our history is that, and it shows a passion. Now, when I saw there is a passion of three different guys coming down from three different backgrounds, one of them from management, one of them is basically from the tea manufacturing industry itself, walked into this industry for last 5-6 years, and the third guy, he really wanted to get into the branding side of it, did a couple of things in social media. They were showing me the response, they're showing me the number of customers that they have, but at the same time they were clueless if they're raising money, what will be the kind of calculation that they do, and probably what will be the best way to go for the market. So I'll give you the full process. Initially what I did, I called up a couple of my friends who are out of India. They were looking for pure organic tea, and I gave them one order, and that order size was pretty decent size. And I asked those guys could you please take it? I mean, do you feel that you can take this order? They said, yeah, sir, that's not a problem. I said, okay, fine. And this is the order. You can communicate with these guys, and this is the communication channel. So I introduced them both in the email. They started interacting with each other, and then they got a shock. These guys gave me a call back. Sir, we got the order, but what to do? You know what? We probably will have some amount of gap in our working capital because we really need to execute that. I say, yeah, that's the reason I asked you this question. This is an experience level. When you get an order, you will probably get maximum 50% in an advance. But to execute that, you need to execute it fully. So I asked you that whether you have that capacity or not. They said, oh, no, we really didn't understood it. Okay. So then I said, okay, fine. Let us do it in this way. Why don't you take these guys who are great in finance, and maybe they can help you to understand how how to calculate all those kind of orders. Is it fine for you guys? They are pretty open. So what happened with that introduction? They understood that they have a little bit of finance gap. So I wrote a letter to the nearby bank. So they got a very small amount of loan, which they executed to cope up with their working capital need. They executed the order. They changed their branding methodology. The packaging system became different because it was completely looking. They learned in the whole process of around 4 to 4.5 months that they really need to be very, very serious about doing business rather than becoming only passionate guys. Then I put the investment into the company. The reason I'm giving you this example is this is one of the way that I prefer to check any startup about their appetite, about their methodology, how they work, and if at all they can execute anything. Now, what happened if you back calculate everything that I gave you, that example? These guys were passionate, true, number one. Number two, probably they're not the best guy in the tea industry, but they had the courage to take challenges. They had the courage to be open up and accept facts and say on the face, we don't know things. And at the same time, they were ready to learn. At the same time, they had the courage to take a loan from bank, execute the order so that they can earn profit. So when I came on board, the company became a sustainable company. And when I pulled in the next round of investment, the next investors got a very decent amount of flow of money that is happening in their organization. From the day one of the third party investment, this organization is getting orders from out of India. They started a pipeline. So that's one example I wanted to give you. Number two, I'll give you another example where I till date didn't invested any money, but I tried to help them out with profitability, business, connectivity, and of course name and fame. So these guys, they connected with me in Gujarat. I was speaking in one of the startup conclave over there. I really forgot the year and the name of the conference, but in any case, so we started discussing about creating products for blind people. The co-founders, they were really humble. They started talking to me. They said that, sir, we have been building this. This is our passion. We want to help blind people to walk comfortably. So probably if you try to find out these companies, you can get them in India. They're great guys. I can tell you the name, but let me finish the story first. So they say that, sir, but I don't know. We don't know that whether this price margin will be great for Indian market or not. Can you help us? I said, okay, let's see. Let's do something like this. So what I did initially, I guys were really honest. Now I have of understanding whether someone is trying to do something good and cool in the they're trying to snatch things from the market or not. So whatever I understood that these guys are actually honest. They really want to do some amount of venture, maybe a little bit of network, a bit of connectivity will help them. So initially what I did, I recommended these guys to represent India on a product basis, like one of the finest startup who is building products for visually disabled people. I put them as one of the awardee in one of the international conference that happened in Middle East. One of the co-founder, he went there, got the award, became popular in their TV channels, got a lot of press news, came back to India and gave me a call to give me a thank you. I said, don't think there's something more is going to happen. So I connected them with the African market. Things started happening. They started rolling business. And now they are doing really massive work. They raised capital. Not only that, they are giving back whatever they have raised so far. Their model became completely solid. Very humble guys do massive work. Third example I want to give is out of India. One of my investment that happens, a hardcore money that investment. These guys I met in 2018 when I was traveling to Finland. I was talking to a couple of startups over there, but I really liked these these two couples. Like one of them, his age is about 72. Don't get a shock, and the wife, her age is about 65. They were actually explaining me that they are product creating company. They are building massive, great, innovative products, and they're doing business in the Nordic countries. And they really wanted to scale up their venture. They wanted to probably go for a couple of more rounds. It was a strategic decision. I looked into their papers. It shows that they are a profitable company. Sometimes they don't earn a lot of profit, but it's okay. They understand how to create products, but somehow there is a lack of market connect, and that's the thing that they need. And after initial investment, we brought in the third-party company who can actually take the lead about understanding the market, finding options, giving them more business. We created a sales team. We created a separate marketing team, and that's how we started operation into Asia. And slowly they're becoming big. Probably I'll take a sweet exit after 2 years down the line. Probably I'll stay back depending on the situation. But the third example, if you have listen to me very carefully, was a very strategic kind of investment. There was no hardcore, you can say, understanding that, yeah, I know this guy from the beginning, or maybe it's the passion. But what I saw a deep understanding about their own product. I saw a deep understanding that they have a complete understanding how to grow their own market, where to sell, how to sell. But they had a gap about the connectivity, about the team. And that's the reason they wanted to get some external investment in the company so that they can create a marketing team and a sales team differently. So when I came on board with that particular X amount of money, whatever I did, and they created that particular team strength, their profit ratio from X percentage becomes approx 3x. So that's the way you strategically invest in one company, and as an investor you can grow your money, and slowly, probably in due course of time, either you take an exit or you stay back and you enjoy the percentage and things will go on. And I'm not sure if these examples are okay or fair, or if there is any feedback. I'm totally okay to take that.
That's fine, Mr. Rajiv. I think it was definitely good to know the experiences that you had in your past journey in terms of the investment. Sir Ratnakar, do you have anything for a quick one? Any one use case you can pick? What did Hyderabad agents do under your leadership, Mr. Ratnakar? I'm taking
No, thank you, thank you.
So that then we'll,
Yeah. Thank you. So Hyderabad Angels till date has invested in 44 startups, another 2 or 3 in pipeline, and we did last 2 years 15 plus investments. That's a positive thing. Generally, what is the philosophy of Hyderabad Angels is value beyond capital. The two objectives which we look at startups is, do they see Hyderabad as a market? Either somebody in Hyderabad or somebody outside Hyderabad looking at Hyderabad as a market. So last year we invested in a company called Chai Kings from Chennai. And when they came to Hyderabad, one of the key things they looked at Hyderabad Angels is whether they'll get the required help to open outlets in Hyderabad. So we went through, evaluated, and personally visited their branches in Chennai. In Chennai, I think Chai Kings has been most popular, and they were able to set up around 35 units in Chennai. And we looked at what is the key ingredient. One is tea, which they are doing internally, and second is the snacks. And we looked at quality and tea, and one of our member is looking, who looks at bakery division. He is one of our member in Hyderabad Angels. He came personally with me, spent time. We explained to him how Hyderabadi Irani chai is famous, which he don't have that ingredient in his tea business. And we provided the right person who can give the Hyderabadi chai. And we also provided the supply chain management in terms of snacks. And post which, when we all agreed, we have done an investment from HA, and he opened 5 outlets till date. We also helped them in getting the required rental and space in strategic locations. And Corona has hit, but it was a good example to showcase. I hope that would help people how we work with many of the startups today.
Right, sir. Right, sir. This was good because you actually led us on how you went through the process of investment. You also did the due diligence in order to, on the startup at much more deeper level, and then you were able to come back and evaluate few things around. All right, sir. I think I'll move on to the next segment, which we had to still address, which is about Kuberan's house. Ranjit, I would request you to take this up about the Kuberan's house process initiatives. It could be the benefits also around Kuberan's house initiatives. Over to you, Ranjit.
Sure, Govind. Thank you, Rajit. Thank you, Ratnakar. It was a great insights. So I would like to explain the process of Kuberan's house. So Kuberan's house has received n number of applications till date. From this n number of applications, we are going to shortlist the top 500 after a stringent filtering process. And top 500 will be empaneled in the Kuberan's House Hall of Fame. And each of them will be handed over Kuberan's House Fellowship Certificate as a seal of merit. Post this top 500, again, a stringent process will be taken into consideration, and top 100 would be shortlisted from this top 500. And then this top 100 will be part of a whole and exhaustive workshop. This work will be consisting of it in corporate, finance, strategy, fund management, legal, and public speaking. So this workshop mainly aims to project, explore, and impart each and every aspect of making a successful pitch to the investors. End of the day, the pitch matters for the investors. Any investor will look into your first pitch because you get maximum of 5 to 10 minutes time to pitch for an investment. So from this top 100, top 60 would be showcased on a national television. Also, this top 60 people will get an opportunity to go on a global platform into the Open Innovation Week, where they will be part of this in places like Silicon Valley, Singapore, Miami, Germany, and all. So Kuberan's House is first of its and one of its kind platform, which is getting the entrepreneurs and investors on under one single roof. So, Sanjay sir, would you like to take it ahead from here? I think Sanjeev sir has lost the connection.
Sanjeev sir,
go ahead with that.
I think Ranjit, then should we take the question?
I think, hi. The issue there with me, this thing. I think the kind of insights that is coming from Mr. Ratnakar and Mr. Arijit have been, great insights. And it's basically out of great expertise, experience, and the kind of the processes they have personally gone through is something that, is a great learning process for all of us. Having said that, I think I want to take the first call, basically, because, this is the point that I would like to stress about Kuberan's house. Nikhil Sharma is there, and he happens to be one of the youngest applicants for Kuberan's house, and I would love to have make him ask a question. So that he can ask a question to Arijit about what he thinks. Nikhil, are you there?
Yes,
Nikhil
sir, I'm
there?
present. Yes, sir, I'm
Hi,
here.
Nikhil. How are you?
Hello, sir. Sir, I'm great. How are
Yeah,
you?
Nikhil, introduce yourself. You happen to be, I think, the youngest entrepreneur applied on Kuberan's house. Go ahead, tell about yourself, and you could ask a question if you'd want.
Hello everyone. I'm a young
Yeah.
entrepreneur, coder, and creator. I worked as a freelancer, and currently I'm working on my own startup. So it's a
Okay.
tech startup which revolves around variables and Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and utilizing advanced latest technology
Okay.
in both B2B and B2C spaces.
Super. And how old are you, Nikhil? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm stretching this
Sir,
point
I'm
because
15.
we as we ventured out into Kuberan's house, we didn't want it to be zonal specific, age specific. We wanted to reach out to the maximum community. So Nikhil is one of the youngest applicants. So Nikhil, how old are you?
Sir, I'm 15 currently.
Yeah. So we've had a 65, 70-year-old startup story that Arijit had shared, and we have a very one of the youngest startup stories. Nikhil, do you want to ask a question to Mr. Arijit or Ratnakar?
Sir, as of now, all my doubts are clear. I would get back if I have any more questions.
Your doubts are clear. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, Govind, go ahead, please. You could open up this thing and we can take in questions.